I was in a coffee shop running away from home when I heard the news. Our hero, Jecht, gone, vanished into thin air. My dad must have been his biggest fan. I knew how sad he'd be. Heck, we all were that day. Zanar, I says to myself, what are you thinking? I went running straight back home. We sat up talking about Jecht all night. My dad and I never talked so much. Whoa, didn't mean to reminisce, folks. Anyway, 10 years later, the Jecht Memorial Cup tournament is today. The two teams that have won through to the finals are, of course, the Abes from A East and the Duggles from C South. I know there's a lot of people out there today to see the star of the Abes. In just 1 year, he's become the team's #1 player. He's Jecht's blood and the new hope of Blitzball. What kind of super play will he show us today? Will we see his father's legendary shot? I don't think I'm the only one excited here, folks.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 35 of the video game podcast PlayStation Pals. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by the Perry to my Kathleen. John, I really need you to bring the energy this week.
Yeah, what's wrong, bud? You alright? You're looking a
we
little...
We record on a Friday. It's a long week, and you just get tired.
Yeah, but you're acting like you do things all day and that you work hard. I know you don't work hard. I know that. So you've been sitting at your desk all day. What do you mean? What do you mean? You've been cleaning the laptops. You've been watching Lord of the Rings.
Has nothing to do with the fact that I've had donuts and quesadillas and sugar pops and coffees.
Self-inflicted wounds, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's probably what it is, but I like to just bitch.
See, this is why I nourish my body the way that I do, because then you get immune to these things. I only drink Mountain Dew and I only eat quesadillas and burritos. And it's, business as usual.
It's going to catch up to you, man.
Nah. Never.
One day, John will get really fat and you'll just hear, "Hey!"
Hey, it's happened. It's happened. I'm already fat, man.
All right. Well, let's kick it off with some good news. Thanks to that pesky Super Bowl that is airing this Sunday, we are getting a Last of Us episode early. So probably by the time you listen to this, episode 5 of The Last of Us will be available. It is coming out early, 9 p.m. on Friday, February 10th.
And if you listen to this episode before the show, you're like our super fan number one, because it's like a 30-minute window that they would have. But yeah, no, that's fucking awesome, man. I mean, it's a smart move. Obviously, HBO is a business, Naughty Dog is a business, PlayStation's a business, and they're not going to want to air this thing during the Super Bowl. So, the rest of the world, we are sorry. This is our Americans' fault. This is our doing, but...
hey, they get it early, too.
I know, but, like... Maybe they like their weekly schedule, and maybe they had Friday plans, Nick. They're going out drinking. They're going out with friends. We don't have friends, so we're just staying at home. But yeah, no. So yeah, that is it's super nice to kind of see part 2 of the episode that we got last week, which we will obviously discuss here shortly.
Yep. And so let's move on, because we got a lot to talk about this week. So this is how the show works. Each of us bring 3 things to talk about. It can be a video game we're playing, a news item, a topic, an email to PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com, or Twitter DMs at PSPalsPod. Any of those things, we feel like bringing it, we talk about it. And we're going to start with a returning segment, the Defcon Level. We are now 12 days from PSVR 2. There was no showcase from Sony. Nintendo now joins the party. They had a showcase this week. As far as the PlayStation blog is concerned, we got a PSVR 2 unboxing video.
Sick.
And an ultimate FAQ.
Okay.
But let's kick things off with a nice little rant here. What the fuck is Sony doing? I am at a DEFCON 5 because they're not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. Who would have thought in the weeks leading up to a $550 piece of hardware that we would get nothing? No kind of showcase, nothing, no hype videos, nothing to get excited about this. PlayStation 5 gets a new campaign. Microsoft has a showcase. Nintendo can have a showcase. Where are you at, Sony? Why can't you have a showcase? John, what is wrong here?
It is confusing, to say the least. Yeah, we're like you said, 12 days away. Maybe Sony just kind of understands that the people who are getting the VR unit are just already bought in. You need a PlayStation 5 for it, so having a dedicated thing to it is not going to move the needle at all, so they're just electing not to. There's been so many weird small pieces of details coming out about the VR unit for the past 6 to 8 months now, and so it simply doesn't make sense at this point to have one. One thing I will say that is weird, and I'm sorry I don't have the sources in front of me, but I've seen from multiple people now over the course of this week that there is quote-unquote a big announcement coming for PSVR 2 information. And for everybody out there, Nick is holding his head in his hands. He's rolling his eyes. There's
going to be a showcase sometime soon between now and June that's going to have stuff in it. But it wouldn't. I'm a professional video game journalist.
Yeah, Nick and I swap bodies this week, guys. But, it wouldn't make sense even if there was, though, because, are you really going to announce, Half-Life Alyx or any game-changing things? I feel like the most of the only thing that they could do for something like that is, hey, we're bringing all these games from PSVR forward onto PSVR 2, but it still answers none of the questions regarding everything that their other first party is doing, everything outside of Spider-Man 2. The only confirmed first-party game we have this year is that, as far as I can think off the top of my head.
Other than Call of the Mountain and the DLC for Forbidden West.
Right, but there's a middle of the year that's empty. They typically have three big releases a year, so they gotta show something. But I'm with you, man. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna bring it down to a 5 because I think there is still a chance we might get some weird thing that is kind of like a, hey, happy launch day for the PSVR. Here's some things we've been keeping in. It'd be stupid. I don't know why you would do that. But I'm going to bump mine down to a 3, which is, I would be surprised if one happened, and I would be surprised if one didn't happen. A 3 is about as neutral as you can get. Not very exciting. And I don't have an answer for you, bud. I don't know what they're doing. They have never been this quiet. It's exciting because there's so many things that could be announced, could be brought onto the table, but at the same time, it's just, we're on the precipice of a hardware launch, and they haven't. I haven't seen a commercial for it. I haven't seen, any excitement behind this thing.
No.
So it's interesting that it seems like they're just letting Meta run away with the market share for the VR, and just they're saying if you have a PS5 and you want VR, ours is better, but if you don't want it, that's cool. But it's just weird that Sony killed the Vita, right? They didn't want to support the Vita, and they said it was pretty much a failure, and I think that thing sold right around 18 to 20 million. PSVR 1 sold 5 million. This one doesn't seem to be having much hype behind it, and it's just interesting that they're putting first-party resources behind it. But behind this device that is going to reach less hands and less people than, a potential new handheld or something like that would. It's just, I don't know. It's the silence is deafening for sure.
Yeah, well, this segment's not coming back next week because, I mean, that then will be less than a week from the PSVR 2, and I don't think they'll have one by that time. But
no, I'm still, what I've been saying, I still think there will be something shortly after the PSVR 2, maybe right around when The Last of Us wraps up. The way that marketing teams work, they don't want to take the oxygen out of the air for things that are already currently existing. They kind of wait till those are wrapping up to do the next big thing. So with the VR unit coming out, with Last of Us show being such a strong presence right now in the media space, I just think they're waiting for those two things to kind of go away, and then they can start pushing the next bit.
I understand.
Stupid as that is.
And I know this is kind of a stacked first half of the year. You got Dead Space into Hogwarts into Resident Evil into Jedi Survivor into Suicide Squad into Diablo 4, Street Fighter, blah blah blah. It keeps going and going and going.
Zelda.
That I understand. There's just a lot of things taking up the gamer's time and mindset. But come on.
I mean, it's just upsetting because, with the confirmation that E3 is not going to have any of the major players, it's just, the way that games are announced and showed now is just so bland and sterile. It's just, hey, here's this disembodied AI voice saying world premiere, and then you see a trailer and you don't get anybody telling you anything about it, and these events are small and spaced out over long periods of time. I don't like. I know, I understand it. It makes perfect sense from a business standpoint, but I really don't like this all digital format that we've seemed to be barreling forward towards, and that allows companies like Sony to just say we're going to talk when we want to talk, because they know we're going to fucking buy their shit anyway. Case in point, my fault. Sorry.
Yeah. So we'll see. Now that I've lowered it to a 5, there will be a Sony event next week.
Yeah.
That'll
then we have to fucking wrap up shop, because obviously we don't know anything about PlayStation then.
That could happen. But I'm just frustrated by the lack of no news when there should be at least some news, and a state of play that takes 20 minutes that covers PSVR 2 would be nice. But I know that we just heard Jeff Grubb, notable quote-unquote gaming journalist, say that he thinks there's going to be an event in March and then a showcase by June. So again, great prediction. Jeez, really nail that one down. So that's what I'm getting to, is just like, it just doesn't make sense. But I understand everything's firing for Sony right now. The show, PS5s are in stock, so everything's gravy for them. So they're just taking the softer approach to PSVR 2.
I think Jim Ryan just likes to see people squirm.
Yeah,
I think he just wants to kind of keep his foot up on our throats and just saying, I'm going to fucking tell you that shit when I'm ready, when I'm good and ready.
Well, I mean, what if I'm a developer making a PSVR 2 game? Like, it's the same thing. It's like, come on, let's go. Hype up your new platform so I can sell more copies.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how this thing does, man.
We'll know soon.
I'm a believer in the tech. I just think of like the convenience side of it all, and it's just, the amount of steps you need to first go through to play this thing. First, I have to find a PlayStation. Okay, that's been an issue for 2 years. It's finally easier now, but if you get one now, you're probably not going to have an extra $550 to throw at the headset. And if you are one that got one early, then is there anything on the platform that you want to play? And then you have the idea that it needs to be connected to your PlayStation. It's connected via a cable, which I'm fine with because I understand that allows it to offload a lot of the processing power to the machine itself. But when you have the main competition being Oculus, that is completely cord-free, that doesn't need an additional device, I do think Sony is only going to win if they really come out and they show that this thing is better than everything else. That's the only way they can do it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the previews are positive, so
yeah.
I think they'll do that. But
yeah.
All right, let's move on. I'm done with PSVR 2 and Sony.
Do you feel better? Because you look worse after that. You're like slouched and everything. Like your
it's going to be a roller coaster as we go through these topics.
All right. I'll throw things at you periodically to keep
But the next topic is fun. As we mentioned at the start, the Super Bowl is here. Super Sunday is coming up on the 12th. And so I wanted to ask John some sports-related questions in regards to gaming.
Can I just say, first and foremost, I'm so thankful Tom Brady is not in the Super Bowl this year. I'm so thankful.
But don't worry, he is an analyst for Fox, and Fox is hosting the Super Bowl. So,
right? Maybe we get a sneak preview of Tom Brady being an analyst.
Yeah.
Goodie.
So I got a few questions for John.
Okay.
He has not seen these before, so these are off the cuff. So don't hate on him if he's stumped by any of these.
I will be.
We'll see. All right. Question number 1 of 4. If you were to predict what game will have an ad at the Super Bowl?
MLB The Show.
You think the show?
Yeah, I would say The Show. It's the next big sports game that's on the horizon, so obviously timing is everything with marketing. The Show is a shockingly big seller that I don't think a lot of people realize. I believe it was number 10 on the NPD for all of last year, and that only counts PlayStation platforms. It doesn't count Xbox. So I think the dollar can be, the dollar amounts can be there. So yeah, I think it would be The Show.
Okay. All
yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean, when you're the only baseball game in town.
Right. Hockey doesn't make sense. NBA 2K23 came out too long ago to really advertise it.
Well, it doesn't have to be a sports game. I'm saying any video game to have an ad at the...
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood the question. I thought it was a sports game.
Because the Super Bowl is built around very expensive, very elaborate ads. This makes it so much more interesting because, like, Hogwarts, like, does Hogwarts... I think Hogwarts gets one. You think Hogwarts will be? I think Hogwarts gets one. I think it's too big. It's too undeniable. Companies see... just the amount of viewership that all these things are, the Super Bowl gets and Twitch, it just broke Twitch records, right? So it's obviously a very, very big game. I'm saying Hogwarts gets one. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to question number 2. What video game character would make the best football player? Dominic from Gears of War. Dom's got the build. Dom or Marcus, yeah. I mean, give them the ball. They're fullbacks, and they're just gonna run through people. I feel like and it's been a while since I've played Gears, but I feel like even the running animation is like, get the fuck out of the way. It's funny that you don't mention Cole Train, who's also in Gears of War. You might not be familiar with him. I'm not that. He's the actual football player that's on the squad. Oh, he's a football player? Okay. Well, whatever their futuristic sport is. I forget what so it's not like it's like Marshawn Lynch played Coltrane or something. No, the character's in fiction is a sports player. Yeah, I'm not a big enough Gears fan to know that. Augustus Cole. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's where Kratos would be fucking badass. He's got the rage for it. That's not fair. At least Marcus and Dom, they're actual human beings. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Leading into our next question, Spider-Man and God of War faced off in our franchise madness in God of War 1. But who would win in a football game between Kratos and Spider-Man?
Wow, that's a good question. And it's interesting because Kratos, to me, is the ultimate do not underestimate me guy. He that's what he does, right? He goes up against, oh my god, he's got to take down Kronos. He's a fucking, how's he going to do it? He does it. Oh, he's got a Baldur can't be hurt, and he does it. He literally goes to hell, and he does it. Right. So, immediately I'm like, well, he's acrobatic as fuck. He can use his webs. He's got spidey sense, so he knows when he's going to get tackled. He's probably faster. But Kratos doesn't lose. But I'm going to go with Spider-Man just because, I'm going to say there's some referees on the field that are, keeping things in check. Right. Kratos can't kill him. Right. Kratos can't throw his axe at Spider-Man's face. Right. Because that's the other thing, too, is Kratos figured out a way to beat Heimdall. And Heimdall basically has spidey sense. Right. So he figured it out. Right. But we'll go Spider-Man because I just think he's too agile. Okay. Yeah. All right. And then the final question. Which of the following fictional sports, if made real, would become as big as the Super Bowl? Okay. I have Quidditch. Okay. Blitzball. I was hoping you were going to have Blitzball. Rocket League. Pokemon. Pyre. I don't know if... I know it, but that's fine. It's fine. And I have Gwent from The Witcher. Okay. I'm going to get rid of Gwent. I'm going to get rid of Pyre. Rocket League... would be cool, but I think there would be a section of people that would be like, oh my god, it's so violent. There's little, because, cars would crash and shit. For sure. So it's between Quidditch and what was the other one? And Blitzball? Yeah. And was there any others? Pokemon. So it's not Blitzball. I love Blitzball. I thought that was going to be your answer. I know, but even the people who played Final Fantasy, some of them hate that game. It's slow, it's weird. It makes no sense because physics just doesn't work in water. It's got to be Quidditch, man. If you could figure out a way to get that game to work in the form that it would need to, people would fucking love it. If you figure out a way to get people on brooms, it's fast, it's team-based, there's scoring, obviously strong allegiances to the teams. I think that would be the one that, cool fucking stadiums. The seats are super high up. I think it'd have to be Quidditch. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that would be very popular. What are you leaning towards? Quidditch would be popular because of the flying and. I also don't know anything about Gwent besides it being a card game. So if there's other okay. So I would love to see a World Series of poker, but with Gwent. Yeah, I love the idea of a filled stadium watching two people on a fold-out table throwing cards on it. Pokemon would be fucking wild too, but. Are we like? Is it more like Pokemon Arena, or is it?
Yeah,
more
like an arena. Like you would be fighting. 2 people would be fighting 3v3 Pokemon.
Yeah, people. I'd fucking watch that. Like, why would you not want to watch that?
I mean, Pokemon on its own is a big franchise.
Yeah,
So yeah,
the biggest.
If Pokemon were real and they would fight.
I'm still going Quidditch because I think people would have a really big problem with animals fighting.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
Cockfighting and dogfighting have their reputations like as they should.
Right.
So yeah, Quidditch. I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. All right, so that's it for my Super Bowl and gaming questions. Good job, John.
Thank you. Proud of
Good
myself.
answers. All right, so let's move on to my next topic. It is Hogwarts Legacy. It is out today while we're recording, February 10th. This comes from Avalanche and Warner Brothers Games. It is based on the Harry Potter franchise, a collection of books, a collection of movies. Very, very big property. But before we get into like reviews and the game itself, I want to talk about the controversy that led up to this game's release. And I'm just going to start with the quote that started it all. So there is a subreddit called Gaming Circle Jerk on Reddit. And
reasonable people over there.
And typically it's made to poke fun at at people that talk about gaming in other subreddits. You know, if somebody goes, oh, this was the best year of gaming, I wish I could go back, and it'll be like 1998, you know, or 2007, all those, you know, and it doesn't factor in that nostalgia is a thing, and, you know, you were a kid probably at the time with infinite time, so of course that was the greatest time in gaming, you know, even though it's not. You know, I always think the most current time is because games are the most convenient. They look
better. They have been building upon each other for years and years.
They look better.
Yes.
They play better. They're cheaper than ever. All these things, you know. PlayStation Plus Extra is amazing. You know, games with gold, Game Pass, all these things.
It's not games with gold. Let's tone it down a bit.
But anyway, so they'll poke fun at threads like that, or, you know, the whole like Aloy and Horizon, like the Peach Fuzz face, you know.
Yeah.
You know how gamers thought she was ugly, and then, you know, the game comes out and everyone's posting sexy photos of Aloy at the beach, you know, in the photo mode in the game, you know, just the hypocrisy that's in gaming, and the hilarious things that come out of people's mouths, you know, on the internet when they talk about their, you know, favorite hobby. But this took a interesting turn. So a mod on the Gaming Circle Jerk subreddit posted this. A friendly reminder from your mod team that this woman, referring to J.K. Rowling, it was accompanied by a picture of her, is a TERF, which means trans exclusionary radical feminist, and anyone who pledges to support her monetarily is also a transphobe. So if you buy Hogwarts Legacy, you are supporting J.K. Rowling, because, you know, it's her property, she owns everything, that you're instantly a transphobe. And the subreddit got behind this, you know, and I'm just going to say this right off the bat, like, that is a ridiculous, like, just base to start with, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that if you spend any money on this, you're a transphobe. It doesn't, like, just because the slightest, smallest percentage of the game goes to her, instantly makes you a transphobe. Like, and by this logic, you might as well just kill off Harry Potter, like, because you can't buy the books, you can't watch the movies, you can't do anything with it because she's gonna profit off of it. And I don't want to get into like her views or anything like that. She has a history of, you know, not saying positive things about trans people, but this kind of like point of view is just so like, it's so radical. It's an extremist point of view. And if you extrapolate this to everything in our modern life, like most things you wouldn't be able to get because it's supporting somebody who's horrible in some way. It's just how the world works. And I don't mind that people, if you have this viewpoint and you decide not to play this. But what happens next is your typical internet controversy, right? At its finest. And I really want to emphasize the internet controversy because when things are bad on the internet, they're small scale, but they always seem bigger, you know? Like when Last of Us 2 haters go after Last of Us, that's a very small subset of people. And same thing here, even though this post got thousands of upvotes and spread across the internet, it's still just an internet controversy. Most people that are not even aware of it, you might be listening and not even be aware of it. But this is the ripple effect that this had is it spread to other subreddits where fights were getting, and on Twitter, fights between both groups, like saying like, oh, I just want to play a Harry Potter game. Mm-hmm. I'm not a transphobe. Or, people saying like, there's the extremists on the right side. It's like, no, I'm going to buy multiple copies to rub it in their face. So things got a lot out of hand pretty quickly to where Reddit PS5, you cannot mention J.K. Rowling at all.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Or it's instantly deleted or and you're subject to possible ban. In our gaming, you can't even mention the game at all. Hogwarts Legacy cannot be posted about at all.
That's fucking stupid.
On Reddit Gaming.
Okay.
And so that is leading up to now. So now the game is out. Some sites are choosing not to review it. GameSpot on their front page had a link to a trans charity.
Really?
Yep. See, this is all news to John. And even in the IGN review, they had to have a whole little section where they had to talk about it, because it's just, everywhere there's comments, there's people are discussing it. And now today, the game, this group is now going around just spoiling the game. That's how they're kind of,
Real mature.
Yeah, so it's like internet controversy at its finest. There's no empathy, there's no open-mindedness, there's no compromise. There's tons of virtue signaling. I would love a gamer tag forensic analyst to see that everyone that says they're not buying this game and see if they're playing it this weekend. Because when reviews finally did hit, it's at an 85, so it's actually a good game.
Yeah.
And I know I've been talking for a while, John. I threw a lot of things at you.
Sure.
Showed you some things. What are your thoughts on? Let's just, I guess, talk about the controversy part of this.
Sure. Yeah. A couple thoughts, and again, we're not going to talk about anybody's specific opinions on anything, but. It's just, it's a testament to how I feel like the world has been moving for the past couple of years. Is this everything is black and white, everything is tribalism, it's us versus them, it's me versus you, and nobody's able to just try and have a conversation about something to get to the bottom of things, to realize that there are nuances, that people are able to have nuances with things, right? Like maybe you're a Republican, but you do think that pro-choice is a thing, whatever the example is, and it's just right. it's getting so tiring, man. It's so tiring, and the thing that I think I wish some people who had a problem with this realized more is that it's not going to affect J.K. Rowling. It's gonna affect the people who developed the game. And there are a lot of people that worked really hard on this game that are relying on reviews, sales, things to get their bonuses, to feed their families. And I just feel like people then value, well, it's I need to prove that I'm right over the other side, and that's more important than if a couple people get hurt along the way, just so J.K. Rowling can get hurt. It's a weird energy that is just always being thrown out with everything nowadays. And I guess it goes into this, but something I want people to kind of think about is the idea, that you're if you're a person who says, I'm not going to even think about this game, it's like, do you really think you're living a moralistic life entirely? Because I guarantee you none of us are. Even if you want to believe you are. It's just like there are so many shit things happening in the world, even in the video game space. You think of companies, anybody who operates out of SNK, right? Saudi Arabia just bought the entire company of SNK. This is a country, not talking about the people, but their leadership had a journalist killed. Like, that happened.
Right.
China currently has supposed slave camps. There are things that are happening outside of just people's feelings getting hurt and things like that I think, is where energy needs to be directed, as opposed to whatever this is. And
well, even if it's so easy to just stay online and just say hateful things or spoil a game or harass people online, because you can do that from the comfort of your home and everything else. But if you're so passionate about this that you're driven to do these things, like, go volunteer, donate to charities, but like do something that's gonna put some good into the world. You're just funneling in more hate.
Yep.
And it's just not like you said. I don't see anything happening really, because again, it's an internet controversy. Like the Harry Potter is a big franchise. It's going to withstand this, and this game is going to sell crazy. It's already got the Twitch numbers. It's going to be, the big seller of the month. Like, just...
Well, that's the thing, man. Have you ever heard of the Streisand effect? Have you ever heard that term?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so the Streisand effect is a phenomenon in which an attempt to censor, hide, or otherwise draw attention away from something only serves to attract more attention to it. There's a famous example, I think, of Barbara Streisand back in the 70s or something trying to, deflect, and it just brought all the attention to her.
Right.
And that's this too, man. It's just like you just said, it broke the record of Twitch for concurrent viewers, I think. They posted today or yesterday that they're releasing a limited edition Hogwarts controller, DualShock. Sold out in less than a minute.
Right.
Like, it doesn't... I don't understand what people's goals are. What are you trying to accomplish? Like, you trying to burn JK to the ground?
Right.
Just ignore it. Move on with your life, man. Focus that energy towards something good, like you said. It's just...
Right.
It's so tiring.
Improve the life of maybe a trans person in your life, or go volunteer, do some volunteer work for a trans organization. That's where you can make the impact on the smaller scale and help people out. But boycotting a game and I'm fine with the boycotting the game part. I'm don't like the part where it's like a mob mentality, going after streamers, going after people talking about the game. Just let it go. Move on. It's internet controversy, so it's got to have all those staples of a bunch of angry people that can't let it go, and are typically the minority, and now going around harassing and bullying other people. It just bums me out.
Right. People should be, right now the discussion should be did you see that you can do this in the game? Did you see that you can fly your hippogriff into this part of the map? I haven't heard anybody, the game came out today, I have not seen a single post or anybody be check this shit out, this is awesome. It's just, if there's discussion, it's about this side of it, and that sucks.
Right.
It fucking sucks.
Right, yeah. Because we can. I think we're good here. We can move on to the review section.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm about to say something that'll unintentionally that'll say something, put my foot in my mouth. So yes, let's move on. I know my limits.
So the reviews came out. It's like I mentioned earlier. It's sitting at an 85 on OpenCritic, and as me and John talked about on Yay, Nay, or May, we didn't think this game was going to be very good.
No, I'm disappointed in myself.
Avalanche, is this is kind of a big deal, a big project to take on, making the dream Harry Potter game, and who knew if they were going to have the chops from it. And then every time they showed the game, between the pop-in and the little brief snippets we've seen, is just ugh. Game is not great.
Yeah,
it looks great. Does not look great.
The fact that Avalanche was that was the basis of my entire feelings on this game going forward. It's exceptionally rare that a team is able to transition from small projects like they were doing, or vastly different, to an open world, massive franchise RPG, and they pulled it off. Mm-hmm. When they showed the game, I was there was very sparsely and populated. It looked a little janky. I wasn't sure on the combat, but people got their hands on it. And unless if this is just Harry Potter fans, pulling the wool over their eyes, I know it's not. Seems like it's a good fucking game.
Yeah.
And are you gonna play it, Nick?
Yeah, I have the game, so I am gonna play it. I have played the first hour or so, and it does have a very good opening that kind of sets the stage before you even get into Hogwarts. So it's getting me hooked there. But to your point, I know the IGN review, which gave it a 9, it was the quote from it is, "Hogwarts Legacy is the Harry Potter RPG I've always wanted to play." So they got the super fan on that one.
Right.
But I do like Games Radar. This is from Josh West. And this probably sums it up perfectly. Is Hogwarts Legacy is a solid first attempt. If Avalanche can be accused of anything, it's that the studios tried to do too much all at once. Something was Something was always going to give between the massive open world, the messy RPG economy, exciting action combat, and adventure story that wants to cast you as a hero with homework due on Monday. So, and I think that's what the game kind of looks like, and the kind of the parts we were kind of down on, like the big open world that just seemed sparse.
Yeah.
You know, and and you have to have the schedule of a school, and you got to have the RPG mechanics, and you have the combat. So, maybe when I'm getting into the game, I'll notice all these things, but.
Yeah, and that's like I'm still a little nervous personally to play this game. I'm sure once Nick's done with it, I'll borrow it to check it out. And my wife loves Harry Potter, so there's that side of it too. But it seems like the big praise for this is coming from a lot of the things that I don't personally seek out in games. Building relationships with your classmates. All the cosmetics and things that you can get for your person, and and just the minute little things. Building out your homeroom and stuff like that. So. With like everybody kind of saying like the combat's fine and the movement's fine and like the RPG mechanics are fine, and that's what I like. So I'm still a little like maybe I will, maybe I won't love it, but either way, man, it seems like like you just read in that review, this is the game that Harry Potter fans have wanted. And I do find it interesting too, because I am 33, so I am the perfect age for Harry Potter. Like I was 10 when the first book came out, and she wrote the books to kind of age. Like each book was supposed to be kind of like another grade level, so that by the time I was 18, the last book came out. That's perfect. And I'm sure a lot of games journalism is the same age as me, so I find it interesting, that there are going to be a large amount of people that have brought in this love for this 20-year love for a franchise into this, and so I'm not saying any of that is present in any reviews. I haven't looked close enough to think if it was or not, but it's something at least in the back of my head, that can sway opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's also anything. Anybody, Star Wars could say the same thing.
Right. Yeah, you hope reviewers can leave their fandom out. Yeah. But also at the same time, they're usually the best to talk about it. Especially when a game's trying to recreate Hogwarts. Maybe you wanted that fan reviewing it so he can be like, yeah, this is what I've wanted. This is what Hogwarts should be. Yeah. But I guess you take that with the reviewer, and as long as they're upfront about that, like Travis was at IGN. Yeah. It's just how it is.
I mean, I remember the feeling I had when I played South Park: The Stick of Truth for the first time, and I got to walk around that town. I was so happy walking around that town. That's all I was doing. I wasn't doing anything. I was just like, it's Tom's Rhinoplasty, and it's the Chinese restaurant or whatever. And so I'm sure it's the same thing with this. Like, I'm in the Great Hall. Look at this. It's the Quidditch pitch. That in and of itself is a joy for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Sure. But a fun fact about the Stick of Truth, I beat it in one sitting.
What?
I started it like a Saturday, and I played through the night and beat it the next morning. I love that game that much.
Have you ever gone back and played it?
No, I haven't played it since. But I
started it 3 weeks ago, just because. I just wanted to load into it again because I showed my son, maybe he shouldn't have, Clip a Cartman because I find it hilarious. There's no swearing or anything. It's just him going, meh. It's really funny. But, so I thought of the game and I was like, you know what, I would like to go back. How's the trophies on this thing look? And it doesn't look fun. But I have thought about going back to those. I didn't really like the Fractured Butthole all that much. I thought it was a step down. Still funny. But I liked the fantasy Lord of the Rings aesthetic much more than the superhero side.
Of course you did.
Yeah. Go figure. But yeah, so it's good. It's Harry Potter's fans rejoice.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan at all. But I'm just glad that it, as we mentioned last week, I was kind of on review watch to see which one of these games this month would review well and then take a swing at one of them, and then just have this one right out of the gate a week later, just be like, oh, wow.
Pretty good start to the year, man.
Yeah.
Pretty good start to the year. We'll see. Next big release, Atomic Heart and Like a Dragon Ishin? Those are the
Wild Heart.
And Wild Hearts, yeah. And 3 more unknowns. Yeah. So we'll see if hot streaks continue or if somebody falters. But
right.
So yeah.
Okay, we can move on to your topics, John.
All right, so you thought I was going to be the only one getting quizzed today, Nick. That's not the case. I've been honestly missing our PlayStation franchise madness a little bit, so I thought we would start kind of another little game. This one is not going to continue throughout week to week, but it maybe instilled a little bit of creativity in me. So there might be more quizzes to come. But for this one,
boy,
we are going to be playing Guess That Franchise Characters Edition.
Oh boy!
All right. So the way that I've structured this, Nick, is I have 10 franchises. Okay, these aren't specific games; these are franchises.
Okay.
And I have pulled 5 characters from each of those franchises. I started with obscure characters, and they get progressively easier throughout the 5, so that hopefully by the end, I don't think you're going to miss any of these. I really don't. But I also don't really know how well you know some of these, so the first one might be like, oh shit,
right?
You know the Arkham, you know the Arkham series. So
I hate quizzes, but
I know you do. That's also part of the reason I did it. All right, so you ready for the first one?
Sure, let's go.
All right, character is Oleg Petrovsky. Oleg Petrovsky.
Oleg Petrovsky. Oleg. Boy, I feel like I should know this.
Mm-hmm. This is why it's gonna be fun.
This is not The Witcher?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you like a 10-second limit too.
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Just go with the next one.
Dr. Chakwas.
Dr. Chakwas. This is why I hate Fridays.
My brain
is mush.
Okay, Thane Krios.
Oh, this is Mass Effect.
Yeah, Mass Effect. Good one. Next ones was Saren Arterius and Liara Tassoni.
Yeah.
All right, ready for the next one?
Yep.
Hector Alcazar. Hector Alcazar.
Go to the next one.
Tenzin. Remember, this is a franchise. Tenzin.
Yeah. Tenzin. God, people are probably yelling at me right now.
I know, that's also why I wanted this.
All right, what's the next one?
Rafe Adler.
No, keep going.
Nadine Ross.
Damn, wow.
Okay. Chloe Frazier.
No!
Do you remember who Tenzin is?
No.
So he's in Uncharted 2. He's like the Sherpa guy that's like going with you through the mountains.
Oh, okay.
I that's like the one I was like, I think I might have been able to get Tenzin, but I would have gotten Hector or Rafe probably. So, all right, this one might be a little hard, but we'll go for it. Ifalna. Okay.
Keep going.
Jekt.
Keep going.
Bosch von Ronsenberg. Bosch von Ronsenberg.
No.
Vincent Valentine.
Oh. Final Fantasy.
Do you know who Bosch von... You should know Bosch. He's in 12. I know you like 12 a lot. But I know the full name is... And like, it's hard to...
And as much as I love 12, I barely could remember the characters and the plot points.
Oh man, I
don't know why.
Okay, so like, would you have, like, what if it was like Pinello? Would you have gotten Pinello?
No, I don't know when I played that game.
Yeah.
Like, I must have been a bit. I think it was right when I got my PS3 and I was backlogging tons of PS2 games because I hadn't played. So I was playing through God of War, playing through everything, and it's just like a lot of details. Even like God of War 2 is like a lot of details are just.
Yeah, 2 is the one that I don't really remember well either.
Yeah. So.
All right, yeah, and then the last one was Rufus Shinra, so you should have gotten that one.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, Dampy.
Games have silly names.
They do. Princess Ruto.
No, why is it? I should know that.
King Dodongo. King Dodongo.
Are these on PlayStation?
No.
They can be on other platforms?
They can be on other platforms. This is on another platform.
Okay. Yeah, that's why the names are...
Aghanim.
No, go ahead.
Epona.
Zelda.
Yeah, Aghanim, I was like, it's probably really hard, but he is the main bad guy in A Link to the Past, so I thought maybe, like, you would have...
Really?
Yeah, it's not. It's like the one game that's not Ganon, I think. It's, Aghanim is the dude, but... All right. Gretchen Whistler.
Keep going.
Ferris Boyle.
No.
Frank Bowles. Johnny Charisma. I went hard with this one. This one is the one I went hard with because I didn't know with you. So, Gretchen Whistler, Ferris Boyle, Frank Bulls, Johnny Charisma.
I want to say Control.
That's a good guess. No. Killer Croc. Arkham was a hard one because I was like, I'm going to include it because I know how much you love them, but like I can't do Mr. Freeze. I can't do Poison Ivy. So I was like, all right, well maybe he knows. Johnny Charisma is the name of the Joker, I think, when he was playing the pop star or something stupid.
Okay.
All right. Carl Johnson. Tony Cipriani.
Is this Grand Theft Auto?
Grand Theft Auto. Yep. Jimmy DeSanta, Trevor Phillips, and Nico Bellic. All right. Another one I wasn't sure how to do for you, so sorry if it's hard.
Okay.
Avalik.
No.
Barnabas Basil Faulty. No? Okay. Dandelion.
Oh, The Witcher.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, there were so many characters. I'm just like, I remember Vesemir and Roach and Ciri. So, and then fourth was Vesemir, fifth was Roach. Okay. All right. Two more.
All right.
Orcos. Demos. Calliope.
This is God of War?
Yep.
Okay.
Brock and then Jormungandr. All right, last one.
All right.
Dr. Brown.
I was hoping I could get at least one on the first character.
I'm not going to let you do that.
Dr. Brown.
Smash Daisaku. General Gray. Orange. Black. Green.
What? Are you just you're just naming colors?
Yeah. You should know this.
No, I don't. What do you? I don't know.
Orange, black, pink, green. Gunstar Heroes, Nick. You know Gunstar Heroes. Come on.
They're just colors.
Yeah, I know. But it's our game.
Yeah.
All right, well done. You only missed one. The one you should have gotten, but that's fine. Good job, bud. I know those.
Right,
I know how much you love those.
Fine.
All right, good job. Hopefully it wasn't too painful.
No, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's...
All right, well, let's get into some actual video game chat here. So my next topic here, Nick, as some of our viewers might know, Nintendo, and as you ranted early in the beginning of the episode, Nintendo just had a Direct.
They must have a 550 piece of hardware coming out.
You'd think so, right? But no, they just have some nice little games.
They just have a 7-year-old platform, and they're still doing showcases.
Yeah, when's that Switch 2 coming out, man? That's not very soon. But so I wanted to go through the Direct, not piece by piece, because there's a lot of filler in these things, but at least some of the games that I think look cool and that are coming to PlayStation. So, and then one specific demo I want to talk about here. So first to kind of just go through some of the games that I think people should be kind of paying attention to. First one is Octopath Traveler 2. This is the sequel to, obviously, Octopath Traveler, which is an RPG from Square Enix. It has that 2.5 HD or 2D HD style to it that actually I think the first one kind of popularized. So that's coming out February 24th to PS4 and PS5. Then we got a date for the DLC for Dead Cells, the new one, which is Return to Castlevania. That comes out March 6th. If you haven't played Dead Cells, you really, really, really should. It's fantastic, great roguelike game, and they just keep supporting it. So
Are you playing this?
I don't know. I inherently always have a problem with DLC. It's not my thing, and so probably not, at least off the jump, because March 6th is a busy time, and I still have Elden Ring on top of everything else, right? And Dead Space that I have to get through, and other stuff. So probably eventually, once it's on sale. Tron Identity, which looked kind of cool. It's a heavy narrative-focused game. That's coming out in April. So, if you're into the Tron franchise and you like super narrative games, that might be, it's obviously got a pretty unique art style. And then from Don't Nod, this game may be the most surprising game of the whole bunch, just because it's, nobody knew anything about it, but it has a very, very cool art style and seems pretty unique, and that's Harmony: The Fall of Reverie, which comes out in June at some point. And that has it's billed as a unique narrative experience, so something to keep an eye on. And then lastly here, I just wanted to mention Deca Police, which is a new game coming from Level 5, who did Ni no Kuni, What other games have they done in the past, Nick? Level 5. Dark Cloud, the Dark Cloud series.
Yeah, I was looking through their games because I was like, I've played one, but I haven't. And
You've never played a single one?
I don't think so. They have released so many games.
Yeah.
And I've not, and then there's so many I didn't.
The Professor Layton series, that's another one, but Rogue Galaxy. But so if you're interested in any of those, go check them out. But the thing about the Direct that I wanted to talk about most here is they released a demo for one of my most anticipated games of the year. And that game is Sea of Stars. Shadow dropped a demo for us, which was super, super awesome. This is the follow-up from Sabotage Games, who did The Messenger. Fantastic game. That also had a retro style to it. But The Messenger was basically their attempt at NES Ninja Gaiden, and this is their attempt at SNES Chrono Trigger. It's one of the most direct comparisons. You look at this game and you immediately see that. But I was really excited to get my hands on this, and so I had some thoughts on it. And I just wanted to go over that. So one of the very first things you're going to notice with this game, I think if you've played video games at all, you're going to notice how gorgeous it is. Whether you like pixel art or you don't, this is some of the prettiest, if not the prettiest pixel art I've ever seen. The amount of detail that they are packing into this game is frankly mind-blowing. From your character running and you see her hair sway back and forth to all of the foliage and trees and the environment are swaying with the wind a little bit gently. If you're going, there's actually some pretty nice traversal mechanics where you can kind of climb things, and if you've ever played an old school RPG, Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, anything like that, it's usually very flat and you're kind of maybe walking up some stairs or down some stairs. But this one, they actually took the time to allow you to climb up ledges, go down ledges, and there's animations for every single one of these moves. The pixel character is reaching up onto the ledge and pulling herself up, and it's just, if you pay attention to all the little things, it's frankly pretty mind-blowing. Another thing that this game has very much been touting is the music. The Messenger, in and of itself, had fantastic music, but they made a point to say that with this game, they got the original composer to Chrono Trigger, which is a lot of people's favorite game of all time, but they especially like the music. And that's from Yasunori Mitsuda. So that's, music, I think, is one of the most underappreciated parts of games. If music lands for you, that's part of the reason I like Nier Automata so much. That it really can elevate a game for you.
Yeah.
The combat is surprisingly in depth, where I kind of thought it was, it's turn-based RPG. I like the fact that it allows you to take as much time as you need. That's something that I've never really personally liked about the ATB system in the Final Fantasy games. I don't like having a little bit of pressure behind me. I like to think about the situation, analyze, what are the enemies doing? When are they going to attack? What can I do to set up my sequence? And this game lets you do that, but with some also extra layers, where one of the things that the enemies have is, I believe they call them blocks, which, not like they're blocking an attack, but there's these little blocks above their character that have very specific actions associated with them, whether that's you have to do a fire attack, a sword attack, a blunt attack. And if you're able to attack these enemies before they're able to execute the move that they're building up, it's either going to kill them completely or knock their move offline. So it kind of adds this extra layer to strategy. But then there's also extra layers such as when you're attacking, if you time if you hit A at the right time, you're going to attack twice. Same thing works for defense. You're going to defend yourself a little bit better. And then there's also these orbs that fly out as you kill enemies that you're allowed to absorb as the player to enhance attack. So there's a lot of little things that can give you an edge. And then lastly with the combat is similar to Chrono Trigger, you're able to movement is important and placement is important. So for instance, you start the demo with a group of 3 characters. One of those characters has the ability to throw somebody else. So he can throw an enemy towards another enemy, then you can use another character who uses a massive fireball, launches at one of them, damages both, allows you to really get creative with it, which is fun. And then, just kind of the general theme of the demo, man, is just they are doing every little thing. You can feel the attention to detail. Every NPC interaction I had was not just oh, how are you today? It's almost like a paragraph of and it's kind of funny. If you've played The Messenger, there's one specific character in that game. who's kind of like, he kind of guides you through the whole thing, but he's funny. Like they are good at writing funny, which is obviously hard to do. So I kind of expect to see that peppered throughout the game as well. But it really just feels like an SNES game if the genre had never died and we've reached 2023, right? The quality of life things are there. It feels good. The movement feels good. You know, I was like, one random thing that I kind of noticed last night that I smiled when I did it is in the very opening section, and this is only going to really apply to anybody who's played an old school RPG like that. If there is any movement like vertically, you can almost always see where you have to jump down a ledge, right? Like it's gonna be like, hey, this side of the ledge is a little darker, so you know you can jump down, whatever the case. And I just wanted to see if this game operated that way, or if it was like, no, you kind of have a total sense of freedom. I just walked across this random bridge that had no edging to it, and I was like, can I jump off it? I did. I jumped off of that onto this one spot I didn't think I could get to. That part I had like, the wall looked weird. It looked like there was like vines or something, leaves. I was like, can I climb this? Yep, I can fucking climb this. So I climbed up there. There's a hidden chest. So there's, you know, a lot of that kind of stuff happening as well, which I don't think you got a lot of with old school RPGs because they were limited a lot more on what they could and couldn't do. So if you are a fan of retro games, of RPGs, of just really pretty games, I think this is going to review very well. I think it's going to be something special if you like that kind of stuff, and play the demo if you have any interest in on it. Unfortunately, it's only on Switch right now. It's not on anything else, which is stupid.
God, they're so good about that.
Yes.
They pick the most perfect games. Hades, Neon White, now See a Star.
The Messenger. Yeah. They did it with they must have. Yeah, they have a good eye for good indie games, and so luckily for us, this one is coming day and date to PlayStation when it's finally released. They did give it a date, which is August. I should probably get the exact date for us here. Let me look that up real quick. But it's fantastic, man. August 29th. It will be on Switch, PS4, PS5, and Windows. No Xbox I'm now seeing. Bummer. Sucks. That sucks. But any questions, Nick? I mean, I don't know if this is one that you really want to play, or if you're just like, oh, if I have the chance, I will.
I just, again, when indie games are trying to recreate older games, but current, I usually am not interested.
Sure.
But everything you say is great, and the videos is great, and the music is great. So there's definitely an interest there, and the little bit of the Messenger I played, I loved it. So the interest is there. So it could happen. We'll see how things shape up in August when this comes out.
Another thing about this game, maybe one day in the podcast we'll share with you guys, but Nick and I are once again doing our fantasy video game league, which anybody who's unfamiliar with the league, you draft games based on their performance on OpenCritic. You get points, and this game's in my team, so I'm really pulling for it. So is Dead Cells Return to Castlevania, and so yeah, I think I'm confident in my pick, and I'm looking to do the three-peat on Nick because he has yet to beat me in the fantasy league.
Yeah, this game's probably going to be a slam dunk.
Yeah,
so.
It will. It really, really will.
Like everything you said, and just look at the video of this. It's incredible that
it's gorgeous.
This team is making.
I don't know how there are development teams that just get it so much more somehow than others. Right. And that's not to take away from other teams, but they're doing something that I don't know. Nobody else has done it. It's insanity. I
mean, not even like Square.
Right. So from this team this is their second game, and they did a Ninja Gaiden game before it. Like what? So look out for Sabotage Games, man. I have a feeling they're like a super giant. They're like a Matt Makes Games. The guy who did Celeste. Just one of those indie teams that is just overloaded with talent. So it's good stuff.
And just one thing about the direct that came out about it is Tears of the Kingdom is joining the $70 game club. When Sony was out there first talking about it,
it's another game in my fantasy league.
Yep, and everyone else was just we don't know what we're doing yet, kind of sitting on their hands about it. Well, we're all there now.
You can really sense Sony's confidence sometimes, and that was one of those things where you're gonna pay him, it's fine, it's coming, whatever.
Right.
And on the flip side, right, it's Microsoft's like, oh, we're not going to raise prices. Well, we're just going to go raise prices over here and over here.
Right.
But
Yeah, so Sony was good about the timing of it.
Yep.
You know, like a new console.
And it makes sense.
Let's do it.
Have you seen the price of eggs, Nick? Eggs are 3 times more expensive than they've been.
Obsessed with eggs.
I know, I love eggs. They're my favorite.
You've talked about this before.
I know, but like, you know, how can you expect that this one specific part of the economy is just going to stay stagnant while everything else gets more expensive? It's just,
right.
You know, so.
But with, I mean, if you're, I mean, obviously people pay whatever to play this game. You know, it's one of the most anticipated games.
We'll pay at least 12 cartons of eggs worth.
But it just kind of sucks. Like, we're not getting a Switch 2, and then the price increases. Just, I don't know. This game's the one.
It is, yeah. I mean, since Breath of the Wild launched with Switch, it is. Yeah. Do you think this is their swan song? Or I mean, they obviously have Pikmin 4 coming.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know what they're doing. It's time for some kind of.
They keep fucking selling.
New new hardware. So. Yeah, John's got 2 over here, so he's keeping the old model in business. So
yeah, unfortunately, that dude.
But I just wanted to point that out.
Good
that
on that OLED. Oh my god,
that
so good.
Yeah, games across the board from everybody are $70. It's just going to be one of those things.
Yep.
We're going to have to accept, but it is what it is.
Like it or not.
I still would argue gaming's cheaper than ever. Just wait. Well,
100%.
Nintendo games aren't the best about dropping in price, but any other franchise.
Yeah. You know, when did Metroid Prime come out? 2004, or was it like earlier? It was like 2001.
Yeah.
I checked. I was like, oh,
yeah, it was 1 or 2 because it was definitely early GameCube. Was
2002. God, IGN gave that a 9.8. Crazy. Yeah, because I really want to play it. I've never played it, and I was like, oh, I have a Switch, and they released it. But it's how much do you think they released Prime for? How much?
$50.
40.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, it's just 40. Like, I don't know. That to me is I'm gonna try and wait till it's 20. But
yeah, and I mean that game is
it's
old,
yeah,
very old. So
21 years old.
They didn't. I mean,
that game can drink.
They did. Yeah, they did some things to it, but they didn't Dead Space it up. So you know, it's not quite that level of remake. So yeah, I mean, pick it up on sale. They are releasing a physical edition, so that'll eventually be. Well, again, Nintendo game, so it'll probably never be cheap, even used.
It'll be cheap, but it reintains value. So if you ever trade it back, like it's
right.
gonna be, yeah.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Breath of the Wild is still $33 at GameStop.
Yeah,
which is so wild.
All right, let's move on to the final topic. Again, we're recapping HBO's The Last of Us show. We are on episode 4 now, titled "Please Hold to My Hand." Let's just go. Just so spoiler warning, if you have not watched it yet, do that because another episode's already out by the time you listen to this, and it's great. It's great. It's
still pretty fucking
not
good.
episode 3 great, but it's still pretty good. I'll let you take it away, John, because again, you mentioned this as your favorite part of The Last of Us is them riding in the car together.
Maybe I said favorite, but yeah. So this episode we see Ellie and Joel. They're on the road, right? They're finally starting to get some distance between Boston and Wyoming, where they're trying to go to. And so we get to see a lot of development between Ellie and Joel and their personal relationship with one another, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of the, if the conflict that goes on in this episode is one side of it, the other side is obviously the progression of Joel and Ellie together, right? You see throughout this episode them start to get some warmth for one another, and it feels really, really good. It's obviously, as somebody who's played the game, it's the moment these moments I've been kind of waiting for, to see them start to develop that father-daughter relationship. And they gave Ellie the joke book pretty early in this episode, which
for a good reason.
Was for a good reason. Neil, they actually go into that on the podcast, right? Of like why they wanted to do that.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
They did or not.
I don't know, but she immediately breaks into the jokes, right? And Bella Ramsey does a great job with them.
Right. Well, I think the joke book is a good sign of how she's growing on him. Mm-hmm. Because at first he is not having that joke book at all, and then as we get to the end of the episode, it gets to him. Oh
yeah, and she's using some of the jokes in the game. It's. Did you know that diarrhea is hereditary? It runs in your genes. What did the mermaid wear in math class? Things like that, and algebra.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. And it's just so nice to see
I think when Joel smiles at the end of this episode, that's the first time he smiles, I think, in the show, except for the beginning.
Right.
So,
right, for sure.
His armor has been broken. But so we get in the car, right? We're driving where we need to go, and first off, I'm so happy that they included the joke in the car. Right? That's one of my favorite little moments in the game, right? Where Ellie's going through the back of Bill's truck, and she finds a porno, right?
Yep, you've talked about it on this show.
Yep, finds the porno, and says the joke pretty much verbatim, right? Why are all these pages sticky? How do you even walk around with that thing? Bye bye, dude. As she throws the magazine out the window. Flustered. Oh, it's great. It's great. But as they pull into town, right? That's like right before they get into town. We kind of see one of the it's not a major divergence. It doesn't really matter, but. In the game, they go to Pittsburgh. They do not go to Pittsburgh in this one, right? Mm-hmm. And they go to Kansas City.
Right. So,
I believe when they were talking about it on the podcast, the reasoning was just basically it didn't really matter, right? We wanted to create a little bit more space between Boston and
I think it makes sense to, like, one thing The Last of Us does pretty poorly, especially Last of Us 2, is characters travel great distances through a zombie apocalypse. It almost seems impossible, right?
Right.
How far they travel. And when you're saying that Joel and Ellie have to drive from Boston to Wyoming, and then in Pittsburgh, of all places, they lose a car and then walk the rest of the way, I don't think that's as believable as they're really close now to where they need to be. And now they're finally losing the car.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to do everything on foot, as we'll get to. So I think that's the reason. It just makes more sense.
It makes
they
more
drove
sense.
that far,
and there was nothing Pittsburgh in the game about Pittsburgh, right?
No.
It's a placeholder. So that didn't matter. But
and I think they mentioned that where they were shooting, because they were shooting in, I believe,
Calgary.
Alberta. Mm-hmm. Yeah, where they were shooting more resembled Kansas City than Pittsburgh. So there was just a bunch of reasons.
Yeah, it just worked out. But
again, it doesn't matter to the overall plot at all.
Nope. But we get to see that moment that I like, right? Which is when they get into town and the one hurt guy starts to stumble in the road, right, and asking for help, and Joel immediately knows what's going on. And Ellie, you can see the concern in Ellie's face, like, are we going to help him? And I don't even think he says no in this. He says, put on your seatbelt. And it's kind of the exact scene that you see in the game. They start trying to book it through and getting away from these people, but they successfully get them to crash, which starts to get a confrontation on way. And it's not pretty. This is like kind of the first time there's the moment where Joel punches the shit out of that guy in the first episode, but like where you see people getting shot and like what they did with The Last of Us 2, right, where they have a lot of violence and names attached to it, so you feel for it. And you could really feel that the group that Joel and Ellie just stumbled upon is a tight-knit group where they care for one another, and they're a group. It's not just a ragtag group where there's going to be betrayal and things like that. These people care about each other, and so they want to fucking get them.
Yeah, this part felt a lot like the video game.
Even the room they crashed in.
Because, it's a firefight, Joel's behind cover. That's a very gamey thing to do. And as Joel takes one of them out, there's a lot of them swearing at him, calling out to him. And that was a huge part of Last of Us 2.
You're going to get yours, motherfucker.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. So,
yeah.
It doesn't take long in this scene for Joel to get snuck up behind and Ellie put in the tough decision as a guy is about to kill Joel for her to take out that gun that we saw her grab last episode and use it on this guy. And as The Last of Us 2 also did about the human-on-human violence, it's rough.
Yep.
Especially when people... she doesn't kill him, but she definitely shoots him in the back, which... drives this guy to, beg for his life, plead with them, bargain, and it's rough. It's a rough watch. It's rough to watch Ellie reacting to someone pleading for her life, because she has obviously never had to deal with this before, and Joel knowing what needs to be done. It's a great scene. Don't get me wrong. And I don't know the actor's name who played the guy, but
Brian. Well, his name is Brian. I don't know. Yeah, the actor's name is Brian.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, obviously saying his name. You know, trying to build that personal relationship, making it harder. And yeah, it's God, is it a rough scene to watch?
Yeah. But you know, Joel, his fatherly instincts are kicking in, right? He said, "Okay, you need to go over there now," which you know, his fatherly instincts already did kick in because he told Ellie to basically go. There's a hole over there. Fucking go hide because this is gonna get ugly.
Right.
But even in this moment, you know, Ellie knew what needed to be done. She knew she couldn't do it. Joel knew he had to do it, but Joel knew that she's still young. Like you don't need to see this little one.
Right.
And so you know you can't. And another thing about that is Joel doesn't shoot him.
Yeah, that was a rough realization.
He kind of just stabs him because loudness. You don't want to draw attention to yourself. Save bullets. All post-apocalyptic shit. But
I'm playing Resident Evil. I know.
Yeah.
You got to stab him on the ground. You don't want to.
Yep.
You don't waste your
Me in Dead Space. I got to freeze him and then stomp him to death. So, but yeah, and I think it's right after here where we meet, I believe, the very first character that has absolutely no presence in the game at all.
Correct.
Right? And that's Kathleen, played by Melanie Linsky. Yeah. What do you think about Kathleen, Nick?
It's an interesting scene because we don't know who she is, and she's interrogating a man who we learn to be as a doctor.
Delivered her.
Yeah, delivered her, of all things. We don't know her role, but we would assume because she's intimidating the guy that she's
the one with the gun in her hand.
She's a big deal.
Yep.
Yeah, and no, I don't know. I didn't really know what to think of it, other than I knew, and we learned this kind of early on that the quarantine zone in this city is gone. Like, it doesn't exist.
Right.
Joel and Ellie notice that before they get ambushed. So you're kind of you don't know what's going on. She's obsessed with finding Henry, who, as we played the video games, know who that is. And I don't remember in the game, is it ever explained Henry's situation?
No, I think he just kind of. I think he's escaping a group of people trying to get somewhere. And
yeah, he's kind of stuck in the city too.
Yeah, he's literally. I think he's literally just, we're trying to escape. You know, if you guys want to come with us, you can. It would make more sense. Like, once they start to gain that trust between each other, which spoilers.
So we know that character. So, but we don't know what he's done. That is also new to this situation, and this is kind of where I think we get the scene where they have found the bodies that Joel and Ellie have killed.
Yeah.
She sees these bodies. They don't know who did it, but she instantly runs back to this doctor after this and just caps him.
Yeah, I mean, and like earlier with the doctor, right? She mentioned something like, "I wonder if this is the cell where my brother was beaten to death," right?
Right.
Like, so she's saying this to this doctor, which I still am a little like, why would that? You know, what is the dynamic here? Is there a group of this? Is there a group within this group that's trying to splinter away? Is there, a coup on her hands? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're in the aftermath of a revolution in which the normal people in this quarantine zone rose up against Fedra, because all the normal people are wearing the Fedra gear, but not with civilian clothes on.
And then there was a
underneath.
group that started ratting people out to Fedra.
Yeah, I'm sure this doctor worked with Fedra. He would probably be considered a Fedra sympathizer.
Yeah.
And so when they finally took over, for reasons that I'm sure we're going to learn this next episode, that drove Kathleen to rise above the Fedra, take things over, and then now punish those who worked with Fedra.
Yeah, and actually I just found a quote that kind of definitely what we're thinking, where the doctor goes, "You were wronged, and I'm sorry, but this has gone too far. It has to stop." "Oh, it has to stop now, you mean? Now that you're in the cell, but before people were dying, it was okay. When you were safe and protected and ratting on your neighbors to Fedra."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
This definitely seems like we're getting a humanization of the people, because these people were in the game too, humanizing their cause and their side of the story. And more in what the television show does best, right? We can actually see them, cut to them, because we're not always on Joel. We're not reading, notes and letters that say what happened. We're seeing it. So yeah, it's an interesting perspective, and I'm curious as to where this is going to shake out.
Yeah, I don't know. And yeah, we're in uncharted territories, and I both like it and don't at the same time. Where it's like, what is going to be the conflict resolution between Henry, Sam, Joel, Ellie, and Kathleen? Like, that's a brand new thing, and it's interesting listening to Neil a couple weeks ago saying that he's always so nervous with changes if it affects the ultimately affects the resolution of a character, right? And so, I mean, we won't get into spoilers what happens to Henry and Sam, but it's almost like there's gonna have to be an extra level, like an extra conflict, and then leads to the conflict we know, because I feel like that has to happen.
Right.
But
so she kind of comes back, rallies the troops to find them. Her second in command is Perry, and if you recognize that voice, it's because that is Jeffrey Pierce, the original Tommy voice actor from the game. And once you know that, you will definitely hear it. So
Very
if you
cool.
didn't notice this episode, you'll notice it next episode, because it is definitely him. And yeah, it is a very cool cameo. I think we're probably going to get cameos for everybody, because we know Troy Baker's in it. We know Ashley Johnson's in it. So
I mean, that would just leave Nolan North and the guy who played Bill, I guess.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, in terms of main characters. So.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, this was definitely an episode that's meant to kind of lead into the next, right? There's not the big crazy moments that we've seen really with, Anna Torv, with Tess, the kiss with Tess and Bill and Frank's story, and even the Sarah's death in the beginning or in the first episode. This was a much more non-bombastic. That's not a word.
There was two things definitely being established, is like the setup, right, of what's going to happen next episode. Introducing us to more characters, and then obviously the bond part. We're getting more personal time with Joel and Ellie, and seeing her, win them over. Like those the two things that they were going to accomplish. Yeah. And speaking of that, is like a really good scene when they're kind of holed out in that store. And they're just kind of talking together, and he kind of...
Is it when he gives her the gun?
Yep, he gives her the gun back. He shows her how to shoot it properly, hold it properly.
Yeah, that's like the moment that he embraces his dadness again, right? I mean, I think in that moment that, when they're in that room after the fight, Joel realizes once again that he failed. Like, they got out of the situation, but Ellie if Ellie didn't shoot that guy, he was dead.
Right.
And so I think he kind of realized at that moment that this girl is much more capable than I gave her credit for. We are in this situation together. It's me and her. I can either trust her and we can, maybe get a little bit of a leg up, or I can continue to try to do this alone, and I'm going to get more situations like these. So he decides in this moment that, she's ready, and he obviously at this moment, could see that Ellie was distraught. She wasn't as comfortable with violence as maybe she thought she was going to be, and he asked her if she's okay. She asked him if he's okay, and in this moment kind of like turns it all around, gives her the gun. She starts smiling. She realizes she's...
Are you sure about that? Because I think Ellie's trying to play tough, because after that he stabbed her, she was like crying when she went in the other room, and she wiped him away. And then in this scene, she was the one that initialized that conversation. He asked Joel if he's all right.
So am I sure about what? About if she...
Because you said Ellie's distraught, but I think Ellie is distraught, but I also think she's pretending not to be, because she looks up to Joel. Joel is this tough guy.
I think 100%.
And so that's why she initially asks him if he's all right. And I think that's when Joel kind of clicks in his head, like, holy shit, this just happened. She just witnessed all that. I need to be comforting her.
I think he, maybe not immediately realize that she's distraught, but I'll tell you, as a dad, you can see these things, even if she's acting tough.
Right.
You're going to see through that immediately, but.
Right, but I think Ellie's trying to put on a show that...
100%.
She's tougher than she looks. And
right, but at the same time... she's still a little girl, but Joel is understanding that even if she's maybe not the toughest nail in the shed, she has a purpose. She does have an extra set of hands that can hold a gun, that can get them out of situations if they need to. There's a moment, I think, in the episode 2 where she tells him that I have hurt people before. And so this isn't something completely brand new to me, but yeah, I mean, it's the genesis of them becoming basically a father and daughter. Like that's what we're going towards.
Yep. So we do get a few scenes more with Kathleen as they find a spot where Henry and Sam were hiding out. Sam is painted over all the walls. Nothing too interesting here other than they pretty much are sure that they're still in the city. But then we get a really interesting scene in which Perry shows Kathleen, opens a door, and the floor is caved in a bit. And it's almost like...
It's pulsing.
Yeah, it's pulsing. And we don't know what this means. And it's funny you mentioned Gears of War, because this made me think of Gears of War. Because the enemies in Gears of War came out of the holes in the ground. And
that's a bloater, dude. It's got to be a bloater.
Yeah.
It has to be, right?
Yeah, it has to be, an infected that's super infected. And that is, I mean, enough to move concrete like that. It's got to be something huge, like... And scary. And
I mean, the biggest enemy in the first game is a bloater, right? I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, and we got that shot in the trailer of the bloater kind of coming out of the ground, right? So I could see that being next episode.
Yeah.
We still need our bloater moment since we didn't get it with Bill. So this would be a pretty decent spot to insert it. Yeah, I forgot about that scene. That was
and Perry, he throughout this Perry seems to be like militia or ex-military or something. He's very, the way he holds the gun and the way he acts seems like
he wears a body armor vest pretty well.
Yeah, he seems to have a military background, and he's obviously alarmed by this, but she tells him, let's just keep this under wraps, let no one in this building. We'll deal with this after the whole, we deal with all this other stuff that's going on, So, as you, foreshadowing for sure of something that's gonna happen. And I think episode 5 will be
tonight.
Kind of shows a big episode, the big Game of Thrones moments and everything else. I think this next episode will be kind of huge because we know there's going to be kind of a little bit of a lull going forward.
Yeah.
If they follow the exact points of the...
So there's 4 episodes after this?
Yeah.
Right? So, okay, so if we assume they get out of Kansas City tonight, right? That's probably where the episode, I would imagine, end. Mm-hmm. We still have that interesting thing that we saw in the trailers with the Native Americans. We still got that to cover.
We got Tommy.
Still got Tommy in his town.
We got David.
Still got David. Still got, the end of it, the doctor and everything. So, yeah, I mean, we're moving.
Yeah.
We're getting the meat and potato stuff.
It seems like there's
in.
almost too much still left on the plate.
Does.
So it almost seems like Henry and Sam has to be resolved this episode.
Yeah, which I like. They're really not in the game that much. Like they seem like it is because it's so impactful what happens.
Yeah, and I mean you play.
But, yeah, I can see that.
Again, like the show doesn't cover the gameplay moments, so like you play a lot. There's a lot of big gameplay moment where you're with Sam instead.
Yeah.
In the game, so...
And I wonder if that was kind of the reason for Kathleen and that whole dynamic, because maybe they realized, like, shit, if we take out all the gameplay of the Sam and Henry shit, there's really not much left. Like, what do we want? 5 minutes of them just talking, and then what happens? So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it wrapping up tonight, and it kind of has to, because if it doesn't tonight, then we're still in Kansas City for episode 6, and if that's the case, then... Yeah,
you're almost... Is the show ending?
Then we're gonna start talking about like, oh, does it end at Tommy's camp or whatever?
Yeah. And so we get back to Joel and Ellie, who have to climb up a gigantic amount of stairs.
33 stories.
Yep.
A lot of stories.
And Joel, of course, takes a lot of shit here. He does mention how old he is, but we knew that. He's 56, I believe.
56.
Yeah, so
yeah,
that's not easy for a man of that age to climb that many stairs, but he does it. He takes the jabs from Ellie in time, and I think I forgot another thing we mentioned. That Joel's his right ear he doesn't hear very well.
Yep.
That is established when they were camping earlier in the episode. That he doesn't hear that well, because that's going to come into play at the end here.
Yeah, he blames shooting over the years and falling on his right side.
Yeah. Surviving the apocalypse, you've shot a lot of guns right next to, you're right-handed, so your right ear is taking a lot of decibels.
Yeah, so he tries to make it a point to sleep on his right ear every night, right? But seemingly he always finds himself on the other ear, weirdly enough.
Yeah, because we see him kind of, prepping the room, which I love, because I don't know how people sleep in apocalypses. I'd be sleeping in a closet with the door shut,
I like that you've thought about this enough to go, I don't know how people sleep during the apocalypse.
But he's prepping the room, laying glass down, barricading the door, making sure everything's, good for them to sleep there. And this is where, Ellie finally gets him. The joke book, you can't escape it.
Was this the one where she started the joke super serious, or it was one earlier?
Yeah, she started it serious.
Yeah, Joel, I have a very serious question to ask you.
Did you know that diarrhea is hereditary? And he's like, what? And then she's like, it runs in your genes, and she gets some.
Yeah, and again, Bella's delivery of that sounded like Ashley. I loved it, and and Joel, that's so goddamn stupid. And he starts laughing, and it's in a show, we're probably 4 hours into this show now, of lots of heavy fucking moments. It was interesting. It was nice and felt good to see just laughter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the best part of the show, or the games, was, the levity between the craziness, and I think those are the most memorable scenes, the museum scene in Last of Us 2, that's probably a lot of people's favorite part of the game, and it doesn't have any shooting. It's just two people hanging out, having real emotions, real responses that Naughty Dog seems to do so well. And
the giraffe in the first one.
Yep, and very well acted here by Pedro.
The museum in the second one, so
and Belly. And
Belly.
Bella Ramsey.
Belly.
And then that leads us to the final shot again. Joel fell asleep on the wrong ear, and he wakes up to Ellie holding her hands up and looks at Sam, who has painted a superhero mask on his face.
Is that what that
pointing
was?
a gun at him. And
I never put that together.
and telling him to shh, be quiet. And that's where we end. A nice little cliffhanger to lead us into episode 5. So, I'm assuming overall you like the episode, John, on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's, as you said in the beginning, is it episode 3? No, but if I'm evaluating, this movie's not, fucking Shawshank Redemption, I don't like it.
Yeah.
There's...
yeah, it does a great,
still amazing,
great job of treading that fine line of recreating the moments of the game that we love so much, and then, keeping people like John and I, who know the game very well, on our toes by introducing new characters, new things are taking, the events are taking place in a kind of a different trajectory. So, like we said, episode 5, we kind of think the big plot beats will be hit, but how it's all going to go down, I have no idea.
The episode is called Endure and Survive.
Yeah, So how this will shake out, I don't know, but it's going to be crazy.
They're going to be enduring and surviving.
Too many pieces are in play here. It's going to get wild. So
yeah, I have a feeling Melanie Linsky's going to have a bad night.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So will some other characters.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It doesn't end well for anybody, really. So it eventually gets to them. So, all right. So that is 6 things. John, do you have anything to tease for next week?
No, I mean, going through Dead Space, fantastic. So trying to get that buttoned up so we can have a episode based on that. And no, I mean, other than that, I like I said, I was trying to do the Sea of Stars thing, and I'm plucking away at Elden Ring still having a fucking ball with that. So I will be spending my time with those 2.
Yeah, it's again, this year seems to have shot like a cannon. Like, it just seems like games are just coming.
Yeah.
Resident Evil will be here. 4 will be here before we know it. So it's just...
Well, knowing you, you're probably going to have Hogwarts beaten before I beat Dead Space. You're like, here, do you want this? I'm like,
Yeah.
So, what have they said how long? Like, is that like a 30 to 40 hour?
Yeah, I think it's 30 hours, and then the Platinum's like twice that amount of time. I haven't really dug deep into that. But that's their conservative, estimates. I think the reviewers all said that it was around 30 hours to beat.
Okay.
So... Yeah, it's nice. I like games to play. It seems after Ragnarok, it just keeps going, you know?
Power Picks has it as a difficulty of 3 out of 10.
Ooh.
Takes 60 to 80 hours. 4 missable trophies.
I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
I probably already fucked myself because you gotta be in the right house.
So the trophies for reaching the map chamber with each of the 4 houses are mutually exclusive, can only be gotten once per playthrough, but because the house can't be changed, you must do a partial playthrough for each house, unlocks after about 2 hours into the game.
Oh, that's not too bad.
It's not, but that's annoying. You gotta play the beginning 4 times.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And that's the missable one?
It's one of the missable ones. And then there's the Toast of the Town, the Auror's Apprentice, the Gryffindor in the Graveyard, and the Wise Owl.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know.
See how much you love it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go from there. But now that I know there's missable trophies, I might just take a little peek to see.
Ooh, you want to know how many things you gotta collect?
Too many, I know.
Guess.
285.
603.
Developers, stop!
Stop that shit.
I hate that. And Arkham was the worst. Arkham Knight, man. Like I love that game to death. But same thing. Just tone it down. Like you don't need to do that. Like
83 Flu Flames, 95 Merlin Trials, 32 Balloon Sets, 33 Demiguise statues, 5 Cairn Dungeons, 12 Breed Beasts, 115 Field Guide pages, 6 Potion Brews, 8 Grow Plants, 14 Astronomy Tables, 20 Landing Platforms, 20 Ancient Magic Hotspots, 18 Infamous Foes, and 24 Challenges. Good stuff.
video games, man.
That's what we do.
Anything to keep you in that game, I guess.
That's what we do.
And and we're all suckers for collecting things, unfortunately.
Yep.
There's just something satisfying about that. Maybe there'll be a Sony showcase we can talk about. I don't know.
You know what, Nick? I might even be wrong. It might be 603 plus 83 plus 95 plus 32.
Whatever. It's a big number.
That's absurd. Cool.
Yeah, so I'll be chugging away at that, and just I did get Resident Evil 3, but I got to finish 2 first.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was $10, so.
Yeah. It's like you should have listened to me when they were both $10.
It's fine. I'm not gonna go back to 2 after I beat it. So.
I know.
So yeah, so I got those. I want to get those all done before Resident Evil 4, and so good things. And then we'll have probably more reviews to talk about. Wild Hearts, Atomic Hearts. There's another one. I forgot.
Like a Dragon Ishin?
Yeah, Like a Dragon Ishin. Oh god, if that game's good, I don't know.
It's gonna be. I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Do you ever see that Twilight Zone episode where there's the guy, all he wants to do in life is read, but everybody keeps like bugging him and work gets in the way, and then he finally gets like the world ends or something, and he's locked in a vault, and he's like, I have all the time in the world to read now, and he breaks his glasses. But I need to be locked in a vault with video games, and then hopefully not break my TV.
Yeah. So
it was time now.
So again, we'll leave you on a song here. Recommended by a friend that this game has an amazing soundtrack, and we have not featured it here yet, is Deathloop.
Is this Roman?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
He's that's all he listens to right now, so I was like, I'll go back and listen to it, and I forgot how good, the vocal song Deja Vu
Nice.
from Sensit is. It is a great song for a great game, and almost kind of made me want to go back to it, but
I know.
too many games.
Too many games.
So, if you have not checked out Deathloop, please do. It is on PlayStation Plus Extra, so check that out. And again, we will be back next week with 6 more things. Thanks for listening.
Bye everybody.
Guys.
Toxic illusion, falling deeper, spiral through time. Static delusion, this is where we do or die. And I've been here before, face to face with the gun. Up against all the odds, and I'm the only one. always knew. This